Hello and welcome. It is August 22nd, 2023, and it is a very hot day in Wisconsin. It's just going to get hotter, but nothing compares to the heat that's about to come off of our presenters today. We've got some hot products to show off to you, and I don't want to waste any more time. So I'd like to give my first introduction, which will be Victor, who is joined by a couple of his colleagues, Karen and Meredith. They all come to us from Scribble. Victor, over to you.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Super excited to talk to all of you. And I am going to share my screen and we can jump right in. Let's see here. All right. So, hi, everybody. My name is Victor. I'm co-founder and CEO of Scribble. And I'm very fortunate to be accompanied today by Meredith and Karen, who are on our customer success team. And I know our time is pretty limited. So I'm going to basically tell you all about Scribble and how we can help this coming school year pretty quickly. And I know some of you may have seen Scribble before because we've done a couple of Taco Tuesdays before. But there's a little bit of new information that we're going to be covering here, particularly related to the hottest topic that is actually going to be hitting everybody in the face, I think, pretty hard this fall, and that is AI. So let me dive right in. So you should hopefully be seeing my slide now. It says Scribble, super app for research and writing. And a little bit of background about us before I dive into kind of what we do. You see the logos for the National Science Foundation and the Department of Ed at the top because early in our history, we've gotten grant funding from the NSF and more recently from the Department of Ed. So we feel very fortunate to be sort of backed by those really, impressive agencies. And Scribble was a company that I started because I needed something like what we built originally from a student perspective. So like for a lot of entrepreneurs, you sort of start something to serve a personal need that you have. And luckily over the years, we found out that, it's not just me that needed it. Lots of students and educators have benefited from what we've built. And we call a Scribble a super app for research and writing. And I think why that is will become clear here in a couple of minutes when we get into it. But explain that I'm going to try to kind of do this quick talk in two parts. The first one is to give you kind of an overview of who we are and what we do. And the second one is to really kind of focus on that sort of AI issue that's freaking a lot of teachers and librarians out, in terms of what ChatGPT and other AI that's coming down the pike is going to mean for the writing process in particular. So part one, here's the problem that we've been addressing. And obviously, we've been doing this before AI and even before the pandemic. And that is that over half our kids in secondary in our country struggle with research skills and they're not ready for college level writing. I feel like I probably don't have to evangelize that too much in this audience. I think you all know this from the work that you do with students and teachers on a daily and weekly basis. The problem starts kind of in our wheelhouse in K-12, but it unfortunately continues on into higher ed and even the workplace. And the pandemic actually, frankly made this worse, like a lot of things, right? So one of the reasons being that historically, a lot of this work that was done by you all and with teachers, with students, involved a lot of face-to-face in-class check-ins. And of course, a lot of that got disrupted during the pandemic. And so what we saw happening during the pandemic was that a lot of this sort of, deeper knowledge work that involved research and writing got shortchanged or pulled back and shortened during the pandemic. Because you couldn't be face-to-face. And it was really hard to transition this work to, doing it remotely from home, typically because of the way that the work has been done. And that's something that we're going to talk about here in a couple of minutes. And then, just from our own experience, we know that we've had teachers tell us that, basically source-based writing is one of the hardest things that you do in secondary, in K-12. It's just a heavy lift, right? The nature of the beast is it's complicated. Unlike math, which is obviously more quantitative and arguably therefore easier to grade, or reading, which has the Lexile score and gives you the ability to kind of benchmark students and maybe do interventions based on that comprehension level. The nature of writing has just been kind of more of a messy beast and not as quantitative, more fragmented workflow, which we're going to talk about and other things. And so it's historically been a heavy lift for you all and for the teachers and students you work with. And that's something that we address, I think, pretty well. And the other thing is this quote from the on the bottom here from the Chronicle of Higher Ed, just sort of talks about the kind of downward trend in terms of writing for years. And that's not unique to now. It's been happening for a long time. But part of the reason why this has been on a downward trend is it is a heavy lift. And so the work that we've done at Scribble is we've really kind of dissected the workflow to try to understand why it's such a heavy lift for everybody. And what you see is that it's a pretty logistically complex learning experience, right? So there's historically a lot of different steps along the way, like the ones that you see here on the left-hand side of the slide. And to be able to get through these steps, you all, along with the teachers and students you work with, have oftentimes had to cobble together a lot of different tools to get through that workflow, right? So you might have a standalone citation tool, and then maybe a PDF annotation tool that helps students annotate evidence in database articles like from EBSCO and Gale and Britannica and things like that. And then maybe there's a web clipper or bookmarking service that helps students basically gather internet research. And then the writing in Google Docs or Microsoft Word. So it's a pretty fragmented workflow. It's hard for students to stay organized. And for you all and for the teachers that you work with, it's hard to teach and track students through that process. And so what we've done at Scrible to try to address this is really kind of bring all these things under one roof. So we built a lot of these tools that you might have sort of had to use from different places into one platform. And that's why we call Scribble a super app for research and writing. It really is, I think, the kind of most advanced sort of one-stop shop, if you will, for this process that anybody's ever built. And the fast and easy way for me to kind of show you how it works is that we've got a really simple 2-minute product explainer video, which I typically just show on a screen share. So I'll turn up the volume here on my computer and just hit play and let you listen to that.
Until now, students have had to use multiple separate tools for their research and writing work, making it time-consuming, frustrating, and hard to stay organized throughout the process. Scribble unites this disjointed workflow by bringing everything together under one roof. It's a super app for students, educators, and librarians to curate, annotate, cite, and write. With Scribble, curating information is easy. Scribble saves web pages, PDFs, and database articles instantly to a cloud-based library with just a click of the Scribble Chrome extension. You can also add files like PDFs from your desktop and Google Drive. You can richly annotate articles directly in the browser and even collaboratively annotate with others in real time. Citations are generated automatically. Scribble pulls citation information from articles and books and instantly displays the properly formatted citation. The Scribble library stores a wide variety of file and information formats. Stay organized by using full text search and tags to find articles. Scribble also empowers the writing process. Quickly generate an outline by dragging and dropping quotes and comments from your Scribble library. In Google Docs, the Scribble add-on allows you to access your library so you can easily insert your outline and bring your evidence, comments, and citations into the paper while automatically updating your bibliography. Scribble is deeply integrated with Google for Education, including roster sync and assignment integration with Google Classroom. Scribble also offers rich analytics for tracking student progress in real time. Quickly see which students are struggling and where they're stuck. Scribble centralizes student work, making it accessible in one place and enabling educators to easily provide timely feedback throughout the entire process. For students, Scribble frees up valuable time wasted on manual and mundane tasks for higher level learning, like reading critically for quality evidence and crafting strong arguments. For educators, Scribble enables personalized instruction for close reading, research, and writing. Sign up for a free account today and see what Scribble can do for you.
All right, so hopefully everybody was able to hear that okay. I'm going to kind of go back to the presentation. So yes, as the video said at the end, there's a free version, so you can sign up for an account and just give us a try on your own. But of course, the full power of all the things that we offer are in a paid version that kind of obviously kind of has those additional assignment and analytics capabilities. And I'm going to speak to that in a little bit more in just a minute. A couple things I do want to kind of clarify from the video. The video is very googly. It was made for a Google audience originally, but we like to let folks know that we also are equally integrated and partner with Microsoft. So everything you see in the video that we do for Google folks, we also do for Microsoft folks, in case anybody out there is actually using Microsoft with students in the classroom. We're also partnered and integrated with these platforms. So if you have this going on in your district or school, know that we've got you covered there as well. And then one of the things that the video kind of talks about briefly, but doesn't go into a lot of depth, which I think is worth just elaborating on just for a minute, is that we are able to kind of pull together a lot of data to give you and the teachers you work with really kind of, I'd say, unprecedented visibility into the research and writing process compared to what folks are usually used to, right? So we can show you, for example, that for a particular assignment, how many students are on target and off target for different steps in the process. You can get a quick high-level view of where everybody's at, and more importantly, say, hey, here are the 5 students I really need to focus on because the paper's due in 3 days and they haven't even started the research yet, right? We also have data at the individual student level. We can show you, for example, Jordan here has collected 6 articles, met the first goal, on her way to meeting the second goal. Susan's a rock star because she's all in the green and she's already turned it in. And Kara here still has a lot of work left to do, right? All things that you want to know ASAP so that you can help them course correct before it gets late in the game. And then the last column here is a little bit different. It's actually about the content itself that the students are using. So we can show you, for example, that 2 of these articles are coming from government websites that Jordan has curated. One is a Wikipedia article, which you might want to talk to her about whether or not that's acceptable in the way that she's planning to use it, 2 are academic websites and so forth. And so this really gets into a little bit of media literacy and early work we're doing in that area, where we kind of give you a high level understanding of whether or not students are just Googling it, and if so, what kinds of web sources are they using? We're also compatible with a lot of the databases out there that you're typically buying and encouraging students to use, like EBSCO, Gale, Britannica, et cetera. And so we can show you on a per assignment, per individual student basis, what are they doing? Are they actually using those databases? And if so, which ones? Or are they just Googling it? And if so, what kinds of sources? And we've got more work that we're planning to do in the future in the area of media literacy, so we can talk about that in the future. And then I won't spend much time on this because I know we're going to be out of time soon, but just know that we've got these additional sort of text accessibility and comprehension tools that we built to support, kind of all learners, and happy to kind of follow up with more information about that. And maybe I'll let my teammates make a note that we can actually send a blog post about this in the follow-up email after this Taco Tuesday is wrapped. I'm going to quickly play a very brief video that is from one of your own, from one of the your peers that we work with in Wisconsin. This is Emily Leonard. She, is at a high school in Menominee Falls, Wisconsin, and we've been working with them for a few years. So let me hit play on that. And I don't think there should be an ad on this one.
Hi, I'm Emily Leonard, and I'm the library media specialist at Menominee Falls High School. We recently began using Scrible, and so far we've used it in the English classes at all of the levels for their research projects. And so far we have been loving using Scrible. The teachers have remarked to me what a game changer it is for their research because it saves both them time and it saves so much time for their students. Students are easily able to annotate web pages and PDF documents in their Scribble libraries, where they can also create outlines and bibliographies and works cited. So Scribble's been a total game changer for our research process, and we are super excited to be using it.
All right, so just wanted you to hear it from one of your own. We're super, we've been super excited to work with Emily and the folks there. I'm going to kind of just flash this up and not really get into a lot of detail. The gist of this slide basically just says that I think what we've built is pretty broadly applicable. We typically, our sweet spot tends to be sort of secondary, so grades 6 through 12 and humanities and general science. You can see examples here on the slide of specific programs and projects that we support really nicely on the left-hand side, and sort of general initiatives that we plug into really nicely. And then in the last few minutes, I'm going to just basically kind of tell you a little bit about how we can help with one of the main things that I think a lot of folks are going to be talking about, and frankly, both excited about, be excited about and scared of. I think since ChatGPT launched, last November, there's been a lot of concern by teachers, particularly English teachers, and other folks as well, that students are basically going to be using AI and ChatGPT, for example, to basically do the work for them. And I know there's been sort of debate on how much and to what extent, and is it really an issue? And I, just to be data driven about it, it is happening, obviously. And this is a graph that was pulled from a survey done back in January, where 1,000 college students were surveyed, and the long and the short of it is that students are actually using ChatGPT to kind of write their papers for them. So there's a new kind of quote unquote cheating that's going on due to AI plagiarism, as we've been calling it, and we are kind of out there talking to people about why it matters, right? And the reason it matters, which I don't think I really probably need to explain a lot of detail to you all as an audience, is that when students take the shortcut, they basically bypass that productive struggle that we've always asked them to go through to develop those critical thinking and key cognitive skills that we've always sort of seen happen through the research and writing process, right? And that's not a good thing in terms of their cognitive development and the kinds of things that they're going to need to be successful going forward in college and beyond. Some folks have said, well, can I just use, an AI detection tool? Because a few of them have been launched. And, the long and the short of that is that, unfortunately, there was a lot of enthusiasm and hope in sort of these kinds of products working out well and being able to tell you when you ran a paper through them, whether or not it was written by a real human, i.e. a student, or a machine, i.e. a chatbot like ChatGPT. And unfortunately, what's been proven out, I think, over the last semester is that there's actually been a non-trivial false positive rate, which means that you're going to end up accusing kids that have actually done the work of cheating. And so this is an article that was just published back in June, so just a couple of months ago. And this analyst said that, unfortunately, Turnitin and identified over half of our 16 samples, at least partly incorrectly, including saying one student's completely human-written essay was written partly with AI. And this is a problem because, it's really going to be a lot of uncomfortable conversations to have with students and their parents when you are sort of saying, hey, the system's telling us that your student, didn't do the work. And it's really difficult because unfortunately, there's nothing that it's not kind of a reliable measure, right? At the end of the day, there's no document to point at to sort of say, see, this is where the student put the information from, which is the way that we've always addressed the classic plagiarism problem. But that doesn't apply here with ChatGPT and AI bots because there's no base level document that you're comparing to. And what compounds this problem, I think, even more is that the AI detectors are manipulable. Basically, you can kind of do sort of tips and tricks to kind of fool them. And so this is an example of an article that was written by ChatGPT, and the student basically, it got flagged by GPT-0, which is another AI detection algorithm. So the student actually had ChatGPT essentially rewrite the paper or the article as if it was written by a high school student. So it introduced some grammatical and spelling errors, and then it actually passed right through the filter, right? So from a technology standpoint, I don't know how we ever really get around this, and it's going to be a problem. But we are here to sort of say that it's not all gloom and doom. There is actually a way to try to address this problem. What we've seen being out there talking to lots of educators and reading the articles and listening to the podcasts and all is that you run into this problem when you really treat writing just as the end work product, right? Which is what those AI detection algorithms are doing. They're just looking at the paper, they're doing some analysis on them, and they're trying to tell you if it was written by a human or a machine. But if you treat writing like a process and not just an end work product, this actually becomes a much more solvable problem. Basically, if you can have students show their work along the way, like we've always done in math, you actually know that when they hand in that final paper, that is actually done by a human and not by a machine. And so this sort of best practice that we see emerging right now in the AI era for assessment, particularly around writing, is around basically treating process over product as kind of the way to go. And so, we're thinking about that, but there's also other folks that have been saying the same thing. And I'll just close by saying that the way that we're able to help with this is now that you understand how Scribble works, because you've seen that video, we are with the student through that whole writing process, right? We're helping them curate their articles, annotate their evidence, cite their sources, build an outline, build a bibliography, and then integrate that into the paper. And so by doing that, we're making that work visible to you and the teachers that you work with. And so we're giving you tools to implement that best practice, because all that student work is available to you for an assignment to review in real time, formatively as the work's being done. And so we're able to basically help shift the assessment for writing from the paper to the process. And we're really able to help students do what we've always asked them to do in math, which is to show your work, except for in this case, now it's the writing process. It makes it easier for students to do the right thing. It's more instructive versus punitive compared to those AI detection algorithms. It's prevention versus gotcha. It's help versus compliance. And it really mitigates the major risks that a lot of educators are freaking out about now, so that we can shift focus to the more positive aspects of using AI. And so if this is something that you feel like is a hot topic in your school, something we can help you with, we'd love to. Whether you use Scribble or not, we certainly think you ought to be focusing more on the process versus the end work product. But if that is something that you're interested in doing, please know that we can help you by actually giving you tools to implement that. And of course, we're partnered with WiLS. And of course, because we're kind of a library product as well as a curriculum product, we've had folks use Common School Funds with us. And of course, ESSER funds are still out there as well. So I know I went over a little bit, I apologize, but I'll stop there and hand it back to Jeff.
Thank you so much, Victor. I'm always impressed to hear what you guys are working on over there at Scribble. And I've said the same thing before, but I really think presenting Scribble as a tool to help deal with this emergent, really current issue in education is great. I think that's a really good position to take, and hopefully more of our members will find some value in it.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you for being here. All right. We're going to just do a real quick reset and we will hand things over. So coming up next, joining us from North Star Editions is Heather. Heather, are you ready to take over?
Yeah, I am.
All right. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and then it'll be all yours.
All right, let's get this going. I know we all say we know how to do this and I always seem to mess it up. Never fails, right? I think I want to go to screen 2. All right, you guys seeing my screen here?
Yep, we're seeing your slides.
All right. Let me get it to the right spot. How's that? Slideshow? Good. Perfect. Hi. Hello. Thank you for joining today's Taco Tuesday. I'm excited to be here with you to present our fall 2023 title lineup for you. I'm Heather. I'm from North Star Editions. North Star Editions is just a small indie publisher located in Minnesota. We are proud to offer all types of books for every reader. Our 7 different imprints offer books from pre-K to YA with a few adult titles sprinkled in our lineup. All right, so phonics is a fundamental part of learning to read. This engaging series helps reinforce common vowel signs and sight words. Each book features simple text and vibrant photos, making this series a perfect beginning for beginning readers. All right. To continue on the starting phonics, we also have our phonics blends. This engaging series helps reinforce some consonant blends. So BL, CL, CR, BR, DR, and the FR blends. Understanding civic skills and values can help children grow and succeed. This informative series teaches readers how to use skills like perseverance and honesty in their daily life. Our planet is home to an incredible variety of animals. This fascinating series offers young readers a look at 8 different animal groups. Dance is a great way to move your body and express yourself. This fun series showcases 8 popular dance styles from ballet to Bollywood, contemporary dance to hip hop. Each book explores the backgrounds of the form of dancing, moves, and outfits of one kind of dance. For thousands of years, 6 simple machines have helped people do amazing things. Each title in this informative series introduces young readers to one simple machine, describing how it works, helps people do its jobs, and how it's used for fun. American governments help our society run smoothly. This series introduces early readers to different types of government in the United States, exploring their parts, roles, and how people fill their offices. Many types of animals travel long distances during their lives, often for food or breeding. This informative series highlights 8 kinds of animal migrations, exploring the great journeys of our natural world. Visit and learn in this fascinating series that examines the history and importance of a variety of American landmarks, filled with engaging facts about landmarks, as well as details about visitor experience. This series is sure to appeal to armchair travelers. Having a solid understanding of current events, this is more important than ever. This timely series explores some of the most high-profile topics in today's news. Each book delivers a history of the topic, an analysis of the people and the events that shaped it, and an overview of the debates surrounding the topics. Medical detecting technology offers more ways than ever to find and diagnose problems in the body. This series highlights several groundbreaking innovations and inventions, as well as the science behind them. The climate crisis is already impacting every part of the United States. This comprehensive 10-book series examines the typical climates of the different US regions and how climate change is affecting them, and the ways that those regions can fight against and adapt to the climate emergency. Our Apex imprint offers excellent high-low titles for our struggling readers. Here are a few examples of books to get even the most reluctant reader interested. Earth is home to all kinds of astonishing creatures. In the Animal Extreme series uses short paragraphs of easy-to-read text and colorful photos to showcase some of the animal kingdom's weirdest looks, wildest behaviors, and most impressive adaptations. My favorite book in this series is Strangest Senses. It makes me think of Spider-Man's Spidey sense. From whipping around corners in open cockpit vehicles to zooming down bumpy tracks on dirt bikes, racing sports are full of thrilling moments. This action-packed series showcases 6 of the world's biggest racing sports, describing their history, equipment, and what happens in the sports of exciting races. From fierce kimono dragons to sneaky chameleons, nature is full of incredible reptiles. This exciting series showcases 8 of these cold-blooded creatures, describing their diets, habitats, and what their lives are like in the wild. This Apex series, Sports Superstars, explores the lives and careers of some of the greatest athletes alive. The book uses short paragraphs of easy-to-read text and colorful photos to showcase these exciting athletes. Of course, my favorite is Justin Jefferson. Sorry, Jeff. Top brands highlight video games, movies, toys, and social media apps that are all popular sources of entertainment. This fun series shows off the companies behind top brands, their history, and the products and experiences they provide. Explore some of today's top video games in this crowd-pleasing series. Each book gives a basic overview of a popular video game, its history, and the types of games it involves. Short paragraphs of easy-to-read text are paired with colorful photos, making them simple and fun. Just noticed that this was in the way. Sorry, guys. There. Oh, now there we go. Our Pressbox imprint offers great topics for everyone. These great books help fill in gaps of new sports collections or start new sports collections. NBA all-time greats introduce readers to the greatest players ever play in the National Basketball Association. Each book focuses on the team's best players and goes into details about what makes those players great. This action-packed series introduces young readers to the hottest teams in the National Hockey League. Each book provides an inside look to the team's history, from formation to present day, while highlighting the team's greatest players and key moments. The world's greatest sports stars are known for making incredible plays and dominating their opponents. Get to know today's hottest athletes by reading about highlights from the biggest moments of their careers. Pro Sports Stars series will be a hit with young readers from start to finish. And one of our adult titles, Breaking Through the Lines, the Marion Motley story. Few Black players thrived during the early days of pro football. When NFL owners saw an opportunity to stop them in 1933, they did just that. With the gentleman's agreement to not sign Black players, that agreement stayed in place for the next 12 years. Marion Motley, a punishing fullback from Canton, Ohio, was one of the 4 players who broke through that color line in 1946, 1 year before Jackie Robinson famously reintegrated Major League Baseball. Over 9 pro seasons, 8 of them with the upstart Cleveland Browns, Motley was a force. The Browns won 4 straight All-American Football Conference titles before making the jump to the NFL in 1950, where they shocked the league by winning another net championship in their first season. Motley was recognized as one of the Gridiron's most outstanding players when he was enshrined to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in his hometown of Canton. His legacy off the field as one of 4 Black players to reintegrate pro football helped blaze the path for Black athletes in the highest levels of professional sports. Yet the story of one of the greatest and most impactful players remains unknown to many Americans. All right, we're going to go to some fun kids ones. This is Holly and the Pity Party. After her family realizes the puppy they adopted is a pit bull, Holly finds herself abandoned in the city. To make matters worse, many people are unwilling to help her because of the misconceptions of her breed. Holly's search for love and food takes her through the city to a dog park, an animal shelter, and finally, a fabulous pity party. Against the backdrop of a culture not yet ready to accept all kinds of dogs, and sometimes people, Holly learns that love and belonging are still possible. The Bear and Her Book. A book-loving bear, sets off to see the world. She takes one special thing, her bear's big book of being wise. When she meets different creatures needing her help, she discovers that books aren't just brilliant at fixing problems. They can also help you make new friends. And if you're lucky, the books can take you to a very special place indeed. Theater kids Maria and Mateo are two talented second graders who live in the spotlight, but they soon find out theater is not only fun, it can also teach you important life lessons. Join these high-spirited cousins as they learn how to improvise through life's plots, twists, and to shine both on and off stage. In this new series fiction for young readers, Horse and Zebra are best friends, but they couldn't be more different. While Horse is steady and sensible, Zebra is zany and creative. But what they have in common is that they will always look out for each other, and they are always ready to help another animal in need. The Society of Paranormal, Invisible, and Relentless Imps and Terrors, Spirit, has a problem. Due to so-called science, the living are believing in ghosts less and less. To boost morale, Spirit is opening its doors to new members for the first time in centuries. But the only spookiest recruits will get to join the undead's most esteemed organization. This is a great series for young readers looking for a spooky read with more fun than spook. This book releases today, Cold Girls. 18-year-old Rory Quinn Morelli doesn't want to die. She wants refuge from reality even for a minute. The reality where she survived the car crash 8 months ago and her best friend Liv didn't. Yet her exasperating mother won't believe the Xanax incident was an accident, and her therapist is making it increasingly hard to maintain the detached, impenetrable, cold girl facade she adopted from Liv. After she unintentionally reconnects with Liv's parents, Rory must decide, will she keep Liv's secrets and her secrets inside, or will she finally allow herself to break? And if she breaks, she will unearth, what will she unearth amid the pieces? If you want a good read, if you want a good cry, this is the book for it. Here Lies Olive. This book releases in October. Growing up in the dark tourism capital of the United States, 16-year-old Olive should be more comfortable with death. But ever since an allergic reaction almost sent her to the wrong side of the grass, she's been terrified that there's no afterlife. And after the death of her surrogate grandmother, Olive has kept everyone at arm's length. Because if there's nothing after we die, relationships and love can only end in sorrow. When she summons a spirit to answer her questions about death, Olive meets Jay, a hitchhiking ghost trapped in the woods behind the poorhouse where he died. Olive agrees to help Jay find his unmarked grave in exchange for answers about the other side and what comes next. Meanwhile, someone or something is targeting Olive's classmates. The longer Jay lingers, the more serious the attacks become. Blaming herself for having brought Jay back, Olive teams up with the maybe nemesis, maybe crush Marisol, ex-best friend Davis, and the new girl, Vanessa, to free Jay's spirit before he's trapped as a malevolent shade. And the attacks turn deadly. But in doing so, Olive must fear her death and risk losing another person she loves to the nothing. Thank you for your time today. Remember, North Star Editions offers great discounts for WiLS members. We have no minimum order, free shipping on all orders over 145% off list pricing for all of our titles. Please contact me for more information.
Thank you, Heather. I'm always so excited when you join us to get to see all these amazing, cool new titles that hoping to see on our library shelves in the not too
I know. We're
future.
super excited. Got some really fun ones. We got some great starred reviews this time and just some really fun picture books this season. So yeah, thanks for having us.
Great as always. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, we've got one more presenter here with us today, Jeff Hahn, joining us from Social Explorer. Jeff, I can see you're taking the reins on screen sharing. Are you ready to get started?
I'm all set. Thank you for having me. I really
right.
appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Go right ahead.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jeff Hahn. I'm with Social Explorer. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me today and to see what we're up to. Give me 1 second here. Good. So Social Explorer is a data visualization and mapping tool that maps data such as the American Community Survey, the census, health data, all the way down to a very granular level. So if I showed you here our data dictionary, just as a way to look, we have the ACS, which is the American Community Survey, which is really used to be called the census long form, loaded into our tool. We also have business formation data. We have cancer data and health data, census data going back to 1790. So if you go to the data dictionary, that's where you can see everything that is in our product. But let me show you what it looks like. So if I go to Explore, I'm taken to a population density map of the United States as a starting point. And from here, I can change all of the data based on what I'm interested in researching. So this is used at 500 academic libraries across the United States, really over 500. And if I go in and change the data, you can see we have data going back to 1790. So you can search by year for data, or you can search by topic. So for 2021, we have all of these topics that are available. So let's say, for example, I wanted to look at just Wisconsin and look at some data. I can go in, I can put a mask on here and just highlight Wisconsin. Now, I can zoom in, and as I zoom in, you can see that it gets down to different geographic levels. So I'm looking at population density. I started by state. As I zoom in, I'm now at the county level. And I can go all the way down to the state legislative district level, elementary school districts. So as a research tool, I can go down to census tract level. And so if I wanted to then change the data, I can go in and say, you know what I want to look at? I want to look at age of the population less than 35 years of age. So now that's what I'm looking at. I can auto adjust that, and I can zoom in. And I can start to see, as I go down to the census tract level, what percentage of the population by census tract is under 35 years of age. If I wanted to, I could build a story. Maybe I want to do a comparison of two different variables. I can go in and click tell us. I'm sorry, I'm going to start with, I can go in first and do a comparison. I'll do a side-by-side comparison. So on the left, I have population less than 35 years of age. And here on the right, I could do income. People that make less than $30,000 a year. So now I'm comparing two different variables on the map. And when I roll over the county, it tells me here, 21% of the population makes $30,000 or less a year. And also 37% of the population is less than 35 years of age. If I wanted to, I could do a side by side. I could do a swipe map. Here I have one map on the left, one on the right, but I can go back and forth between the two. So what I have here is the ability by year to look at all of these data sets, everything housing, labor force, occupation, poverty, ancestry, health issues. All of these topics are embedded in the product, and the students can go in and do research, or they can use it in class to build activities looking at data, because understanding data, especially in the social sciences, in history, in public health, really give the students a leg up. It's an understanding that students need to come out of academia with when they graduate. This idea of data literacy is very important. Let me go back. One other thing I'll show you is we can look at change over time as well. This is the total population, less than 35 years of age. If I wanted to, I can look at where that's changing quickly by just clicking. Let's look at this 5-year example. Over the last 5 years, where have population less than 35 years of age increased or decreased? Here it's decreased by 35%. In the blue, it's increased. Here it's increased by 56% in this county. So you have a lot of ability to look at data, use it for research, use it in sociology, political science. We have voter history. You can use it in psychology, in business, geography. So it works across the board for many, many different disciplines at your institution. Here's an example of what you can do with the tool as well. These are our teach and learn modules. And so what we've done is we've pre-built some lecture material that can be used, or students can use it to take a look at how they can use the tool. So here, if I wanted to, we can look at 2020 presidential election data turnout. So we've built a story using the tools that we have available within the product. And so if I click start, here I'm looking at Democratic vote, comparing it to 2016, comparing it to 2020. Then I look at the Republican vote as well. And there's some thought questions that are built into these activities. And now here I'm looking at the upper Midwest blue wall and doing a comparison between 2016 and 2020. So if I zoom in, I can get an understanding of what happened here in Dane County. So in Dane County in 2016, 70% of the Democratic vote, 70% of the vote was Democratic. But in 2020, 75%. So there's a small difference, but if you look at it, it is significant. Or if I look at Milwaukee, the same thing. In 2020, 69% of the vote was Democrat. And in 2016, 65%. And it shows the difference. It's almost 20, it's almost 30,000 votes. And so students can go in and do this type of research on their own, build stories, use the data that we have here. If you're familiar with geographic information systems, this is like a geographic information system On training wheels, it has the data in it. It's easy to use, and it gives students an understanding of how geographic information systems and visualizing data works. Here we're looking at Philadelphia and the suburbs. So this was sort of a little piece that we put together for the after the 2020 election. Also, all of the data that is in our system can be exported out as well and pulled into other systems. So if you wanted to, you can go in and create a report. You can say, I want to look at the American Community Survey by state. I can pick my state. I can search the tables that I want. Say I want age. I can go in then and create a report. And here I'm looking, it's a very basic table of one variable, but it just shows the breakdown through the American Community Survey of Wisconsin by age. And then this could be ported in or downloaded. You can download it as an Excel file or as a PDF. So we are a tool that allows students to interact with both public data and data that we have contracted for the system as well. We have quite a bit of health data in here. And so for a very reasonable price, all students at your institution will have access to this, be able to use it in their courses. And we do quite a bit of training. We would train your library staff and your faculty on how to use the tool as well. And so with that, I can turn it back over to you, Jeff, or if anybody has any questions, they can ask them now.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Always interesting to see what you can do with Social Explorer. It's really a powerful tool. I'm always really impressed when you come in and show us what you can do with it. I can absolutely see the value of the resource for our schools and libraries. So as always, please do reach out to us here at WiLS if you want to learn more about Social Explorer. Likewise, Scrible, likewise, North Star Editions. We're always pleased to take questions, take quote requests, put you in touch with any of the people on this call to learn more. I know any of them would be delighted to talk to our members to learn how their resources can help your institutions. So with that said, let me share my screen one more time just to kind of bring us to our wrap-up phase for the day. Thank you again for those attending, for those watching the recording, and especially to those of you who have joined me here today to present all about the cool stuff coming from our vendor partners. We're going to keep rolling. We have Taco Tuesday every other week here in 2023. So our next session is 2 weeks from today on September 5th. I hope you will join us then for another round of amazing resources brought to you by WiLS Vendor Partners. Thanks again and have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye all.
Thank you. Take care.